noticed that you have been looking at things around the calendar of festivals in Nigeria, looking at curtailing some of the security, looking at the security situation in Nigeria, and seeing how your ministry can play a key role in that. And also even with the National Orientation Agency, how you can even foster or improve the view of Nigerians in their attitudes to work and everything else. So coming from the US perspective, we see a lot, there's always that, as you know, there's always that piece of information that is always missing where they have a different opinion based on what they see on some of the news media out there. And it may not be necessarily true. And me being a Nigerian, first of all, for any other thing, I think it's important that I want to be able to use that medium to be able to partner with the Ministry of Information and see what we can do together. Now, going back to Corporate Council of Africa, we have about 325 members. So the likes of GE, Dangote, IBM, Procter & Gamble, Boeing, Walmart, just to name a few, are all members of the Corporate Council of Africa. And so each particular one that's actually based in Nigeria, we'll love to see what they can do with the Ministry of Information in some form of capacity. And so that's one reason why we're here, and to see how we can support some of the initiatives of the ministry.
Okay. Because of the crucial role, I know that the Corporate Council of Africa has played in strengthening relationship between Nigeria and the US, and in particular, the role the Council has played and has continued to play in the area of investment partnership between the US giant companies and Nigeria. My relationship with the Corporate Council of Africa started in 1999. I was then the Chief of Staff designate to Mohammed, who was then also governor-elect. And we had not been sworn in when we started to pay a visit to the US. And one of our very first ports of call was the Corporate Council on Africa. In this respect, Ambassador Wajeta played a very, very pivotal role. And then there's Ambassador Roberts, I've forgotten, who used to be, I think he used to be the US ambassador in the Philippines. And as governor-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's major concern was about power in 1999. So when we got to the US, we approached the Corporate Council in Africa on how do we cut the golden knot on power. Anybody who remembers 1999, the then NEPA was at its craziest peak. And when Asiwaju was elected as governor of Lagos State then, he promised he was going to put the power issue on its list of priority. But before 1999, NEPA had absolute monopoly of power generation, power transmission, and power distribution in Nigeria. I think the only other company that that broke that monopoly was the company in Jos, in Plateau, NASCO, that was given a limited area to generate power, but within Jos metropolis. So when we got to the US, we approached the Corporate Council in Africa. The Ambassador Robert said, listen, young man, I like your enthusiasm, but I know also that in your country, the laws give virtual monopoly to NEPA. How do you want to go about it? And I think I told him, look, as far as it's concerned, I just want you to help me. How can I generate power in Lagos State, then we were now told that when Philippines faced the same problem, Philippines went by way of turbines, and that we were lucky that those turbines were just being retired, and that each turbine could produce 30 megawatts each, making 90 megawatts. So it was the Corporate Council of Africa that linked up to Aaron, and that's how it began the journey to break the monopoly of NEPA in power generation, distribution, and transmission. So I'm saying this to tell you that I'm quite familiar with the Corporate Council in Africa, and I've worked when I was Chief of Staff to Lagos State very closely with the Corporate Council in Africa. And I know that the Council has helped many African countries to overcome their challenges, and this is why I so much eagerly accepted your invitation to come and pay us a courtesy visit. I am aware too that the Corporate Council in Africa has been one of the very few faithful friends of this country with abiding faith in the country. Even at the most trying periods of Nigeria, the Corporate Council in Africa has never abandoned us. So once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you here today, and I can only hope that you will continue to do what you know how best to do, which is strengthening the partnership between Nigeria and the U.S., especially in the area of investment. And you see, your coming is very timely because, as you know, this new administration is determined to move away, or rather win itself from the addiction to oil. Fortunately, we had already made up our mind that we are going to cure ourselves of addiction to oil even before the crude prices crashed to 38. We've always been very convinced that any country that relies on one mono product is leaving herself to the vicissitudes of any volatility in that particular industry. So there's no better time for the CCA to partner with us as now, when we are looking into new areas of diversification of the economy, especially agriculture, which is an area where the U.S. has made a fantastic success of. Solid minerals, the arts, culture, tourism, and we hope that you'll be able to partner in particular with this ministry in the area of culture and tourism. You did mention our resolve to create a calendar of festivals in Nigeria. That's correct. We believe that we have the country is so blessed in areas of culture that if we decide today to have a festival per day in Nigeria, we can afford it. It will be simply a matter of each state giving us 10 cities or 10 communities that will celebrate their culture, their art, their craft. And then we have a compendium, a calendar whereby every visitor will know exactly which festival is going on at what time. But far beyond that, we intend to improve and develop our creative industries. Here I'm talking about our arts, our crafts, so we can empower the youth, we can empower women. Before now, Nigeria was so rich in arts and crafts and culture that certain parts of the country were known for certain arts, certain culture, and certain crafts. Unfortunately, with the oil boom, we did abandon these crafts, and many of these crafts and arts and culture are now dying because there's nobody to inherit the skills. I remember very well in my secondary school days, the present Suleja, which was then called Abuja, had one of the most famous pottery industries in the world. So much so that the famous basketball team of Abuja was called Abuja Potters. And I think the lady was so famous that she won a Queen's Award. You can imagine how many women were employed in pottery pottery in those days. And if you go, there's no part of Nigeria today that does not have one art or one craft that they can thrive on. Yesterday, about this time, I also received the British Council, and the British Council said yes, our goal, our vision is actually resonating with Britain, because Britain is in the same situation, whereby for centuries certain cities were known either for shipbuilding, they were known for steel, or for coal. But with the burst in the economy, they're not reverting back to culture, they're reverting back to festivals. And I think he said that this year or next year, they're going to have All City Festival. So this is one area I think should interest the Corporate Council on Africa, because one of the fastest ways to reduce crime is to get as many people as possible involved in craft, in art, and in culture. I think it is the DG of the Center for, no, I think there's the CG, the DG for the National Council of Arts, that told us that there's a particular masquerade in the southeast. When it comes out, it employs 100 able-bodied men to dress and undress him. So you can imagine if you have 10 of those masquerades in a day, you are going to have 1,000 able-bodied men dressing and undressing him, and you create an economy, create around it. So we are not we're not daunted. We believe very much that we can revive our culture and create an economy around those culture. And the beauty of creating an economy around your culture is that you stop migration of people from the rural to the urban area, because you can practice those crafts, can practice those arts and those culture, in their local neighborhoods, and they can now, you now see a reverse, where now the urban people now come to the rural areas, in terms of these festivals and to patronize them. So we are quite delighted that you are here. Another area I think we want your partnership is the impending campaign the ministry is trying to launch. It's kind of an orientation campaign. We want to start a campaign to change the values, change our values, change our behaviors, change the way we do things. This campaign would dwell heavily on discipline, lack of respect for time, our almost lost time-tested values. Because it's only when you have a disciplined society that you can have efficiency, you can have transparency, and then it's only then that you can actually strive to become a member of Committee of Nations. Our campaign is tagged change begins with me, because we believe that what is wrong with Nigeria today is not just with the leadership. It's not just like a friend of mine told me this afternoon, that if he had known that praying and prayers is such a big business, he would have concentrated more on it, because we hear today that some people were giving 300 million naira for prayers. And I said if you give me that amount of money for prayers, believe me, all the prayer warriors from Gabriel will be present. Now, but on a more serious note, you see, what we're saying is that what is wrong with Nigeria is not just the leadership. I think we have succeeded in contaminating a whole generation. So much so that the kind of values we stood for when we were younger are no longer respected by our children. We must go back to those values, because no nation in the world has ever developed without very sound values, very sound ethics, and very sound behaviors. The only reason why a businessman, you are going to talk to a businessman, is because you believe that he's going to play according to the rules. So we must reinvent this, and we hope that when we start this massive campaign, and we call upon Corporate Council of Africa, you will need your moral support. We know that it will be in the interest of the various companies operating in Nigeria to have disciplined citizenry, to have employees who believe in values of hard work, in values of transparency, who have a lot of respect for time. That's the only way you can increase your efficiency. So once again, we hope we will remain in touch, but there are many areas in which we can cooperate. We should not just look at the big issues of power, the big issues of technology. No, there are smaller areas that with little amount of support, you can support the whole community. I can assure you that with as little as 100 million naira, we can revive the pottery industry in Abuja here. And with that money, you are going to revive the whole economy of not just Abuja, but its environment. Because as a child, I visited that pottery, and I saw the wonder, and I saw the industry of our women. And with that, we are going to solve many problems, including, gender equality, including economic empowerment of our women, and at the same time, harmony between husband and wife. Once again, I thank you very much for coming.
Excellent. I would also let our partner say a few words also, but I want to first say that in regards to your two earlier initiatives you spoke about, from the cultural festival and the reorientation campaign, we will definitely support you in that area. Not only would we share with all our members, but we will also make sure that we will try to put some additional efforts behind that. So that at least we can try and assure you on that. CC has also been involved, as you mentioned, in lots of things in the power sector. I don't know if you remember, there was this electricity summit that was held in Abuja, the Airforce Base.
Was there?
Yeah, I was there. Remember that I anchored the program.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So we've been doing a lot in the power sector, even through our members.
Actually, I've been seeing with Dr. Apata since then, and we're still talking.
Through likes of even GE.
Yeah.
So we have initiatives like Boeing that are looking to do things in Nigeria, Lockheed Martin that met with the chief of defense staff on security, Gilead Sciences that invented a drug for hepatitis C, a cure for hepatitis C, and they want to bring it to Nigeria. So there's a lot that is going on, and there's a lot going on in Africa, especially between the US and Ethiopia, Kenya, and all that. And we want to see a lot of that being driven towards Nigeria. And I think it's important that sharing that right information to the global community is important. So we'll definitely, partner with you on that angle. And then I'll give a chance for our partners to share here. I think IBM just just walked in soon.
SIO is actually a firm of management, finance, government relations, and also capital consultants that we actually work with various sectors in Nigeria. And ultimately, one of the key things we did was helping ECCA with the trade mission back in October, where we met with a couple of MDs, like he said. So in respect, I really want to commend the administration on its work so far as far as the battle against insurgency is concerned. And then yesterday I was going through the news and I actually read about the communications plan against insurgency that is going to show information and culture. And then for our firm, that we've done some couple of things as far as that's concerned. We're looking at how we could support the ministry in the area of the battle of insurgency, because when I read that I was very, very amazed. And I actually love the idea. It's really a very fantastic one. And then we're looking at how we could actually bring in private sector participation into this, because it's very important once we have public sector moving into that's also moving, but it's also very important that we have private sector too. So we are very interested in working with your ministry to support you on the development of this plan, so that we can all bring together and back against insurgency. So the other thing is also on the creative industry. Some years back, we actually worked with the UK Department of Trade and Investment on creative industry exhibition in Nigeria, whereby we actually empowered, also set up a kind of a conference that brought together companies from agriculture, health, oil and gas, and also the retail sector, including the creative industry. So the main reason why we got them together was to create an avenue whereby they could share information, knowledge transfer, and also facilitate kind of network between these people. So in a bit, bigger companies actually support the lower SMEs, and then with this conference, we were able to train 350 SMEs in the country. We know that is not that much, but with the new change mantra, ultimately we're looking to multiply our efforts in a bit to generate revenue for the government in this area, which is the creative industry. And also, we actually partnered with Procter & Gamble too. And then for Procter & Gamble, just to mention a bit, we helped them with the P&G partnership on the training of over 65,000 girls and women in Nigeria in 2 states ultimately. So it runs from 3 years, 2014 to 2016, in Abuja, and then River State ultimately. And then we partner with Ministry of Health, that's Procter & Gamble partner with Ministry of Health, Finance, Women Affairs, and then communications as well. So in this, we have tried over the past to work with the government. We have achieved some things, and then we are looking to multiply the efforts of our community, ACIO, by partnering with the Ministry of Culture to see how we could generate revenue. Because at this point in time, we need to diversify the economy, and then creative industry seems to be a very, very important aspect. So I would be willing to come over to the ministry some other time and see how we could develop my colleagues and also.
After from Adamawa State, I work with ACIO, and I argue, like my partner has said, he has showed a lot of things we are doing currently, and it's a fantastic thing to see what the ministry is doing, because it's a very key ministry, and a lot of the nation's image rests on the shoulders of this ministry, and it is the responsibility of the ministry in the long run also to portray the nation to other people, and then make them understand that it's not about what you see in the media, but they are not to think about the nation and think about the situation. But to give the nation a good image outside, we now have to have confidence in that and what we're looking at right now is the ingenuity where we do for this country, we need a lot of partnership, which we cannot overlook. And the only way to do that, like I earlier said, is to give portray a good image of this industry, of this country. And moving forward, I understand the new mantra, the change mantra right now, which is going on, and the campaign which is going on. Would there be an opening for private investors and individuals to come and participate in human capital development in that respect.
Judy Millicom, and I'm from Anambra State. I represent IBM West Africa, and so it's an honor to be here and hear all your plans that you have, because obviously as one of the largest IT company in the world, we actually see data and information as such an important tool. To us, it's the new oil and gas, and Nigeria has so much data that we're not actually well utilizing at the moment. So it's fantastic that you're now in this seat, and we would like to partner with you to do more with information. Some examples of things that we've done in the past, during the Ebola crisis, we partnered with the Federal Ministry of Health and also Lagos State Government, and we provided free of charge some IBM systems that you can use to input anytime there was an outbreak. So it really tracks people that have the disease, or able to track where the disease was, and so that was part of the drive that we used to eradicate Ebola in Nigeria. We've also done something similar again in Lagos State with transport. It was a smarter transport plan where we used data that we got from a number of different sources to monitor the transport in the city and try and reduce congestion. We have a new Smarter Cities project that's coming up in Abuja, so we'd like to partner with the ministry to find out what information we can use and how we can use information to solve any challenges that the city of Abuja is facing. We feel that data is something that can really be utilized to try and solve many of the problems that Nigeria is facing. Because lots of times it's just because you don't know how to monitor what people are doing, or you don't know how to monitor where things are happening. We have so much technology that we can use in every single sector. So for us, people sometimes say, okay, you're an ICT company, but it's more than just information or technology. It's something that can be utilized in the oil and gas sector, in the power sector. It's just technology, it's having that data, knowing how to analyze it to solve whatever challenge, whatever industry is facing. So we're really happy to start building this relationship with you, and we'd like to do a lot more. I really liked everything that you said about the reorientation campaign. Although I know I was the last person to arrive, so I will also reorientate myself. So I take things like that into consideration. But no, we really want to help to boost those messages, the good messages about Nigeria, both inside and outside of the country. And we have a lot of platforms that can be used to do that. So we'll be really interested in working closely with you.